Welcome to Pique Your Interest, your go-to podcast for all things mortgage and real estate. Hosted by Tanner Greenwald and Tim Malaskis. We bring you expert insights to help you buy, sell, and invest with confidence. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have a very special guest with me. Chris Baker at Liberty Title is going to join me, and we're going to talk about, I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to have a good time doing it.
We're going to ramble and make you guys entertained.
Yeah, so going back to your point about being concerned about the next generation, I was at a happy hour on Friday with a group of lawyers, and I was talking to one of the lawyers, and he is absolutely terrified for people that are younger than him. He's in his 50s. He's in his young 50s. So he's, whatever years, 10, 15 years left of working or whatever. But he is genuinely concerned that,
rightfully so,
20, 25, 30 years from now, like the next generation, like the people that are currently in law school or people that are younger that are thinking about becoming lawyers may not have a job. Like there could be a lot of things. I know somebody that uses AI as their lawyer. Now, whether you like that idea or not, it should be concerning for everybody. Like it's slightly concerning for me, right? Slightly concerning because a lot of the loans that I do probably could be done by somebody else, right? Like there are still some really hard loans where you got to roll up your sleeve and you've got to get to work and you've got to, plead the case in front of the judge, why this person should be able to obtain financing. But, I think a lot of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis could be replaced by AI.
And let me preface this by, of course, security and privacy is of the utmost concern. I get a lot of agents that ask me, well, how do you keep private information private? You got to remember that you are, as a representative of your client, you have a fiduciary relationship, especially in our industry, where you're not allowed to disclose personal information. You certainly don't want to get out there. So where I'm coming from is anecdotally and some things personally. If it's your own information and you're willing to take that risk, which I am well aware of, I've always felt that, as they always say, for services like Google, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. I know it's cliche, but that's why we so very much love Google and YouTube, because of the convenience. Now, do I know my information's out there? Certainly. But here's some examples of, at least from my personal point of view, of what I use AI for, and people are astounded, but it has just been the pros have outweighed the cons, and I have not had any issues so far. I personally have uploaded all my medical records. Okay. Every single aspect that I have records of, from blood work to diagnoses to just my overall general health. I cannot tell you how amazing it is to have all this complex data, and I don't even know what I'm looking at, generated into a content that can actually explain to me what I'm looking at. And if I want, I can have it generate images and graphs. That's mind-blowing. And a lot of doctors are having well-educated patients come in now that aren't just like, tell me what's wrong with me. They're like, I think this is what's wrong with me, and demonstrate it. I used it to do my taxes. Guess what AI loves? It loves data. Yeah. And guess what I have a lot of? Data. I'm talking about mileage, paychecks, write-off, everything that you have, investments. I can throw into AI and have it analyze in simple terms or complex and give me a way to learn. I have it upload archived conversations I had with past loved ones, my photo library. I have it do my workout plan, my monthly finances. If you name it in my life, anything that's digital, I can put into AI, and I have dedicated sections of my life. I have it actually go out and schedule tasks. So every morning, AI checks my email for me, because you can link it to Google. It actually adds to my calendar. It creates reminders on my phone. It actually delegates my workflows that when they get a contract to sale, I can have a task go out, so it gets it started and just takes the burden of doing all this stuff. And I every time sit down and think, my God, how can I had to do a will for me. Do you know what it costs to have a will? Now, remember, I have to obviously want to look at it and make sure it's correct. And you might want to have someone review it, but the cost to prepare a will is pretty expensive. What if you could come and have someone review a will versus create one? A lot cheaper. I'm just giving you ideas. Some realtors are using it, and I thought this was pretty ingenious. They're uploading the home inspection reports to AI and having it generate a summary of the concerns that you can address with the seller, and even taking it next step and generating the PIN report. I've seen agents take multiple agent offers on a property and submit them and have it break out a spreadsheet and give you all the pros and cons. I mean, these are the way you want to start thinking, because there's security and privacy and you got to be careful with it, but there are just some amazing tools. I don't know if you want to share some things you're using.
I am not using AI at that level by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm obsessed.
That is very cool. I think, there are a lot of ancillary things that you can be doing with AI. So for instance, there are AI microphones that you could use to do certain things, right,
Are
Chris?
we referring to, you may see people out there with these, but I'll let Tim weigh on this. This is a game changer, and we both use this in our business with the permission of the third party.
Of course.
You want to talk about what the Plaud node is?
Yeah, so both Chris and I, and Chris kind of turned me on to this. It's a Plaud is an AI microphone company, and essentially it records conversations just like any other microphone would. But then what it does that other microphone products don't do is it then, it spits out like a summary, a transcript, like an exact word for word transcript. You can identify who these people are. You can name them so you can recreate the entire conversation.
Gives you follow up.
Yeah, and it also not just does the actual recording.
Put it on there, and you can actually record phone calls. If you it records the vibrations of the conversation if you want to go that route with permission of the third party, because we are in Maryland.
Yeah, but it then also it analyzes what you talked about. It analyzes the entire conversation. It analyzes the tone that people use. It analyzes, where were they maybe hesitant. So for instance, I talked to I think I relayed the story to you before, but I talked to a first-time home buyer a couple weeks ago. And I said, hey, it was on the phone, and I said, hey, I have this microphone. I like to record conversations so I can go back and, revisit and just make sure I'm hitting all the points and answering all of your questions. Are you cool with that? And he was like, yes. So I recorded the conversation, and he had an awful lot of questions, like a super, super prepared, overeducated first-time buyer. I mean, he still had a lot of really good questions, and I wanted to make sure that I got all of those questions answered, but I had that transcript that let me know that. It also analyzed and told me where his pain points were, the things he didn't understand, the things that he seemed to be hesitant with. And so that allowed me to go back and say, okay, here are the pain points. Here are the things that I absolutely need to address. And here are the things that I need to keep in mind moving forward as I work with this client. And not that I wouldn't do that anyway, but it's a super helpful reminder that this is something that's out there. It's a tool that should be used. And there's just all kinds of uses for it. I know you could take that data and you could put it into something else, like maybe a notebook LM.
Which is one of my, if not favorite AI tools. Back to Tim's point about the reason I use this, we are in an industry where we have tons and tons of conversations and information coming on us. I mean, conferences, podcasts, news articles, anything you can imagine. How are you guys currently keeping yourself sane, trying to remember? And when someone pulls out a yellow legal pad and starts writing notes, I love that. And I explain to them the power of having one of these. But again, back to the service that I just had Tim mention. If you haven't seen Notebook LM, I can't tell you. I would say even start there. Notebook LM was a service created by Google for free, originally developed for students. And the power up with Google Notebook LM, and again, to give you a visual, it's a website, notebooklm.google.com, where you can actually create what are called notebooks. And what can you put in those notebooks? Anything you want. It is a digital library for you to upload sources, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, even YouTube video links, copied text. It doesn't matter. Even if it's digital, you can put it in there. And then what it does is it takes those sources, as they call it, and it puts it together into a dedicated notebook that you can interact with like you would with a ChatGPT or an AI agent, but it only references the sources you put in there. And the power it goes is where you can take topics that you want to learn and you can put it in there, and then not only can you generate and interact and question the AI, but it has a studio function, which is where the power, and this is where a lot of people are seeing the hype, is you can develop everything from infographics, presentation slides. It can develop a video content, and the most powerful one that a lot of people are just amazed by is it can create an audio podcast, and it can go from in-depth to brief to even a Q&A debate back and forth with two AI, male and female agents that is indistinguishable from a real person. So I find myself learning on any topic, whether I'm listening in the car, watching the video, or generating infographics. And a powerful suggestion I had an agent talk about is they create a dossier on every client that they're working with. And in that dossier or notebook, they create for their buyers and sellers the addresses of the property, all the listings they showed at, their financial makeup, their kids' names, their wants, their needs, desire, work history, anything anything and everything, every listing, bright MLS printout they've ever seen, every property, the loan they've looked at, and then the AI aggregates that information and creates a dossier that they then put into a podcast.
Yeah.
And on the way to their client, or if imagine you're doing this for a listing, you put the tax records, the seller's market, the information you get from LinkedIn, Google, and then you go to this person's house and you have an AI podcast playing in the background about that client, and you arrive at their house and you know everything about that person from public information. They're going to be blown away.
Yeah.
And then you generate an infographic that takes complex data like housing stats, market data, and you present it in a beautiful format. People are losing their mind over that. That is one of my favorite. I know that you started using it now in your business.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you are looking to, we are in a business where we try to differentiate ourselves from the competition. And that's, lenders, title, real estate agents, everybody. We're all trying to be you need to show the value in working with you as opposed to the next person down the line. And I think if you aren't taking advantage of some of the things that are offered, like having an infographic it looks amazing, by the way.
It's astounding.
You could spend hours working on it and it couldn't look anywhere near as good. This takes minutes. And
just ask him to do it and he'll do it for you for free.
Yeah.
For free.
And you leave the website as it's working on this. You go do something else. You task it with doing this and you go and you leave, right? Like I like the videos that it creates. That's something that I've been using a lot. I've had to create infographics. I think it's fantastic. But I think the real value is in the product itself, because it looks really good. I mean, it's a super easy. The presentation of it is so professional and so good, and you're not doing any of it.
People always say, give me an example where I would use it. Well, I like to learn, and a lot of people go, Chris, how do you learn all this stuff? How do you have the time? Where do you, well, one, I started early and I've been doing this, but here's the secret. I love YouTube. I consume YouTube probably more than any other content out there. Problem is it takes time to watch videos. So yeah, I listen to it at 1.5, 2 times speed. I'm a big fan of that. But here's what I've learned in my secret recently is every video I take on YouTube, I will grab the link. You can actually hit the share button, copy the link, and then I paste that into Notebook LM. And then I have Notebook LM on that particular video develop a slideshow, a podcast, and a presentation that concisely credits everything down into this content that I can consume in a matter of minutes. So instead of an hour, 2-hour video, I can in 10 minutes learn everything I need to know about that topic. And that's mind-blowing. I've started uploading my audiobooks, my books that I'm reading, and I can take a 300-page book, throw it into AI and say, can you summarize this? Give me the chapters, takeaways, key points, and summarize the book for me, and then create a video. So I'm now consuming content and books faster than I've ever done in my life. Yeah, am I reading through the whole book? Well, sometimes 90% of it's fluff, but I'm able to extract information that I would have otherwise had to spend hours doing. And that's the world that we live in, is taking all this information and making it more clear, concise. Because our minds are not meant to be filing cabinets to remember things. We're great at pattern recognition and taking information, and that's the beauty of this AI, is it can take all this complex stuff, simplify it for us to say, aha, I get it. So Notebook LM, highly, highly recommend that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I second that motion. What else? What are we missing? What else are we missing? What else should real estate agents be doing with AI that maybe we haven't covered yet?
You got to be making video content, guys. I know the biggest complaint I get from people, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I'm not comfortable on camera. I get it. First of all, if you can stop and realize that 99% of the world out there could care less about you. They're too busy worrying about themselves.
Correct.
Get over that, but I get it. I think that if you can accept the fact that people are going to appreciate you putting out content, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be polished. I think the people that actually are, it's less of a turnoff. I like the real stuff. A day in the life of a realtor. You guys are doing all this complex stuff, and people want to know. I know that sometimes in our industry there's a bad reputation, but if you genuinely show people what you're doing, you can use AI to generate actual ideas, then the content, then the subject matter, and the script. Make social media contents, because guess what Google's going out there? If you're not on YouTube, it's great that you're doing TikTok videos and you're doing Instagram videos, which is all great, but I say when you make videos, repurpose that content. Don't just put it on Instagram. Make sure it's sharing to Facebook, because they're owned by the same company, Meta. But take that and then paste it into YouTube, because guess what? YouTube Shorts is owned by Google. Guess where that's going to help you show up? In the AI search. And then take that content that's got the transcriptions on it and it's got the heading on it, and take that and put it into AI and say, can you make this into a LinkedIn article or a Facebook discussion. So now you've repurposed one video into multiple content, and guess what? That's going to be the source material that AI is going to use to search and grab you. So I think that if you're not at least doing video in some format, at least take it and make it into a blog or an article or a Facebook post. Guys, don't just sit by and think, this stuff's too complicated. Just play with the AI. You can't break it.
Yeah. Again, get started, right? Like
Get started.
The first thing you need to do is just take that first step, make that first video.
So much information, and I know we could go. I mean, I'm very excited about this, but this is what we love. This is what we like to share, and we're a little bit different from the normal loan officer and title person because we see this is where we are and where we're headed. And if you don't accept that and understand, that's a real scary reality. But again, reach out to us. I love this stuff. Tim loves this stuff. We'd be happy to show you how to do it and get a little bit more in depth. Or if you'd love us to come talk to you, that's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, no, I think all the feedback that we get from the times that we talk is that, people are learning something they didn't think they were going to learn. They found something interesting they didn't think they were going to find interesting. It's a little bit of an enjoyment factor for them too. It's something different than what they normally do. And so I think, Chris and I are happy to come talk anytime, anywhere, any place.
And reach out. I mean, again, you can reach me, Maryland Title Guy, on all the socials, and you can certainly find Tim and his information because you are subscribed to this podcast. But we're in an amazing time. Don't look back on it like you did with the internet and go, I woulda, coulda, shoulda. You're in this now, and the world is changing at a rapid pace. Take advantage of the opportunity that you have now to make a difference in what your future is going to be. Yeah, no, totally agree. Chris, I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. This was great. I love it, and hopefully you get a chance to come back and do this again.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you, my friend.
See you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.